Hello everyone, welcome to the YouTube channel of YourPedia and Engineering Career Point. So I am Vineet Sharma, your mentor of mechanical engineering. So as you know, yesterday BRC has announced the list of the shortlisted candidates for the post of OCES and DGFS here. Okay, so basically today I am here to provide you some basic information related to the interview guidance. Okay, how to prepare for this particular interview here and how it is different from the other PSU interviews here. Okay, so you can see the first step of the interview, the first step of this BRC recruitment has been done, and now the second stage has been come, in which you have to prepare for the interview. So this interview is going to be a most important phase for you. Okay, so as you know, so these are some of the list of the candidates here, so which are shortlisted for the final post here. Okay, so now just see, for this particular interview, the interview strategy is going to be completely different as compared to the other PSU here, because the length of the interview can reach up to 45 minutes to 1 hour here, and they are going to ask you the very thoroughly, very detailed question, I can say very difficult question they are going to ask in the final stage here. Okay, so let me provide you some insight here that which subjects you have to choose here. Okay, and how to do the preparation here. So first of all, just see, whenever you are preparing for an interview, you have to make ensure that you should have a basic understanding of each and every subject of your domain here. Okay, but specifically when you are going for a BRC interview, you have to prepare at least 5 favorite subjects. 5 favorite subjects you have to take here. Okay, and you have to prepare it very thoroughly here, along with the numericals, along with the, I can say, the derivation part, along with the theoretical knowledge here. Okay, because in this interview they are going to only check your approach of how to solve a particular problem here. Okay, they can ask you any problem, they can they are going to frame a particular problem here on its own. Okay, and they are going to see that how you can solve that particular problem here. Okay, they are going to check your approach here basically. So in that case, what you have to do, first of all, you have to choose 5 favorite subjects. Okay, and the most important subject which the students generally choose are the thermodynamics, I can say production, fluid mechanics, or the heat transfer subject. Okay, so these are some of the favorite subjects that which the students choose. Okay, and some of the students are those which also choose the IC engine as their favorite subject, RAC as a favorite subject, or I can say the power plant as a favorite subject. So always remember that whenever you are choosing a favorite subject for the BRC interview, you have to make ensure that you have to prepare the core subject. You have to choose the core subject here, because they are not going to ask you the question related to some practical based approach here. Okay, I can say they are not going to ask you the question related to some practical appliances or any pumps or a compressor here. Okay, they can ask you the question related to any basic concept here. Okay, for example, they can ask you, let us say we have a container in which there is some liquid here, and if I just create a hole at the bottom of the container, with which velocity the fluid is going to be flow, and how the displacement, or I can say how the velocity of the flow is going to vary with the time. You have to just draw it on a graph here. Okay, so this type of question can be asked from this particular exam in interview here. Okay, so you have to make ensure that you choose a favorite subject, those which are the core one. For example, let us say if you are planning to choose a thermodynamics as a favorite subject, and you are trying to choose a IC engine as a favorite subject, then it is not going to be considered as 2 different subjects here, because IC engine is basically a applied thermodynamics here. Okay, you are going to see the practical application of the thermodynamics in that subject here. So I can say that IC engine is going to be a I can say the sub part of the thermodynamics only. Okay, so you have to make ensure that whenever you are choosing a subject here, you have to understand the thermodynamics, RAC, and the IC engine are going to be come under one particular portion here. Okay, so I can say the first subject which you can choose is the thermodynamics subject here. Okay, after that you can choose the strength of material. So as soon as you choose the strength of material as your favorite subject, you can expect that they are going to ask you the question related to the machine design also. Okay, because machine design is a sub part of a strength of material. Okay, you are going to see the practical applications of the strength of materials in that particular subject here. Okay, in the same way, whenever you are choosing the production as a main subject, you have to make ensure that you prepare the material science also along with that. Okay, so overall I can say that first of all you have to choose your 4 core subject specific to your domain here. Along with the core subject, I can say after the 5 favorite subject, you have to prepare at least 2 other subjects also. Okay, because sometimes what happens in the interview, the interviewer may ask you your favorite subject. Okay, then they told you that they are not going to ask you the question from your favorite subject itself. They are going to ask you the question from other favorite subjects. Okay, or I can say other from that particular subject which is not going to be your favorite here. So you have to make ensure that whenever you are preparing for this interview, Prepare first of all the 5 favorite subject, then prepare other than 5, 2 extra subjects you have to prepare. Okay, so I can say the total subject you have to prepare is the 7 subjects here. Okay, so if you prepare the 7 subjects, that will be sufficient for you. Okay, and these 7 subjects has to be prepared very thoroughly. Okay, so along with that, in these 7 subjects here, you have to remember the 5 will come under your favorite. It will come under the favorite list here, and the remaining 2 can be considered as your plan B. Or I can say it can be considered as a backup plan here. Okay, just remember that part. So these are the total number of subjects which you have to prepare. Now the second question comes, sir, how to choose this subject here? So I can say that whenever you are choosing this subject, you always consider those subjects which cover up the basics, or I can say which cover up the core portion of the particular domain here. Okay, for example, let us say if you are planning to choose the SOM as a favorite subject, so you have to understand that they are going to ask you the question from the mechanics part also, simple engineering mechanics. Along with that, they can ask you the question from the machine design part also. Okay, so prepare the strength of material thoroughly. Okay, along with that, just see the basics of the engineering mechanics as well as the machine design also, because they are going to frame a particular question and they are going to go in depth here. Okay, because in this interview they are going to ask you mostly 2 or 3 questions only, but they are going to go in deep later on here. Okay, so you will find that as the time is delaying here, continuously they are going to ask you the in-depth questions here. So if you have a very deep knowledge regarding the particular subject, then you will be able to crack the exam very carefully. Okay, so that is the major information which I want to provide you here. Along with that, we have already started the module here, so you can join us. So in that case, you already know that many of the candidates has already been selected in the BRC last year also. Okay, so you already know that whenever we conduct a snap, the snap interview is going to be around 15 to 20 minutes, or it will be around 30 minutes also. Okay, so in that time frame, you are going to observe that which type of questions can be framed. Okay, for example, in the case of thermodynamics also, the question can be started from the open system only. Okay, just start with the basic definition of the open system, then they can go dive into the turbine part, pumps part. How do they classify here? What is the working principle? How do we see the applications of the thermodynamics in this particular, I can say, the topic? Okay, they can ask you the question like this here. Okay, so making sure that you prepared very well, and making sure that whenever you are conducting the snap interviews or whenever you are conducting the full mock interview, you just prepare yourself very well here. Okay. Along with that, there is one more information here. See, majority of the student asks us, do we have to cover up the theoretical portion only, or do we have to do the derivation part also? Okay, so now just see, in the specifically in the case of BRC exam, they normally ask you to create the graph here. Okay, like for example, I have already told you, let us say I am just framing a question here. We have a simple container in which some liquid is there and we are creating a hole at the bottom. Now do one thing, just find out the velocity with which the water is flowing. Okay, now just draw a graph between the velocity with respect to the time, how the velocity is varying with respect to the time here. Okay, so you can see as the liquid level of the liquid is changing, the corresponding velocity is going to be changed. Okay, so now how to find out the relationship between the velocity and time? For that, you have to know that how to start with the first step here. Okay, so you should have to do some derivation also. Okay, so the first one is prepare it thoroughly. The second part is all the derivations you have to cover it completely. Okay, because if you are doing the derivation, that it will help you to create a best approach here. Okay, so if they ask you some random question, then you will be able to provide your approach, and that approach is going to be a main portion of this particular interview, because they are going to see only your approach here. Okay, and the remaining thing is the next part, the numericals also. So I always suggest to my students that whenever you are preparing for an interview like NPCL or BRC, you always making sure that you see some numericals also. Why so? Because by looking the numericals, or by just reading the questions of the numericals, you get an idea that how the theoretical concept which you have covered in your subject is linked with the practical based questions here. Okay, so once you are able to do the numericals also, then it will create a very clear point of view in your mind here. Okay, so these three things are very, very important for you. The first one is the theoretical part. theoretically you have to prepare very well. Second, you have to just see some derivation also. You cannot skip that part. Okay, because in order to create some graph for any particular question, you should have to be able to create the graph here with the help of derivations only. Along with that, to build a approach. In order to build an approach between the any practical based situation and the theoretical concept, you should have to see some numericals here. I'm not just saying that you have to see the complete numerical to how to solve the numerical. You don't have to see that. You just have to see that how the practical based questions are using the theoretical concepts here. That's the only thing which is required for this BRC interview. That is your approach. Okay. So just try to focus on these three important things here. These are going to create a very, very important role for your final interview. Okay. So this is the last information here. So that's it. So this is the information which I have shared here. Okay. So all the best for your interviews right now, and you can also join us with our team here. Okay, so we are already providing you the snap interviews also. Along with that, we are already providing you the full mock interviews. Okay, and by just taking a number of snap interviews, you can build up your confidence also. Okay, so thank you very much.